Hi, it's again stcherniak in Berlin Mobile, and today is June 20th, 2022, and today I will teach you how to raise correctly the rent for the apartments in Germany in general and in Berlin in particular. Let us start. You know that today in June 2022, the inflation is Germany officially is approximately 7.9% annually. So it's almost 8, and the inflation continues rising. So it's about the time to raise the net rent to your tenants. What is called net in German is called kalt or kalt. We are not talking about brutto, we are talking about net. So there are a couple of legal possibilities, but make sure you make every raise in writing in the correct way. You mention who you are. If you are owner, you should prove your ownership to the tenant. If you are manager, you should prove that you're legally managing the property on behalf of the owner, so who you are. Then you should mention who the tenants are. Mention all their names, the correct address of the flat, the correct location of the flat, and the reason for raising. And explain how you calculate the raising amount. Plus, there are some legal limitations that you also should be aware of. Well, let us start. First of all, the first possibility concerns the rental agreements where no raise was mentioned. There is possibility to mention the future raises, and there is possibility not to raise. So if in your rental agreement no raise was mentioned, there is a possibility to raise. So a first possibility is called jederzeitige unverheimliche Vereinbarung. Unconcealed agreement at any time. It means no matter what, you can agree with your tenant about the raise and about of its amount. But you should do it in writing in the correct way, and please take care if you sign the agreement not inside of the flat but in the entrance to the flat or from a distance via email or post, whatever, the tenant has a legal right to disagree to what he has already signed or she has already signed within 14 days without giving a reason. It's called in German Widerruf. So take care of it. Better to sign inside of the flat. Second possibility is Staffelmietvereinbarung, graduated rental agreement. It means in your tenancy agreement, it should be agreed originally in the beginning that there is a graduated raise every year, every 2 years, whatever you decide, but you should mention to your tenant in writing that the next raise is coming according to the original agreement. So it's called Staffelmietvereinbarung, graduated rental agreement. Third possibility is index rent agreement. Indexmietvereinbarung. It means that you should have include originally in the original rental agreement the paragraph about the possibility to update the rent according to the inflation index. In this case, you should write to the tenant, dear tenant, as you entered the flat, the inflation index was X, now it is Y, the difference is Z, so that's why from the date, let's say in 1 month from today, you should pay Y euro instead of X. And you should prove it by sending to the tenant the table of the indexes from the Statistical Authority of Germany. Another possibility is called local comparative rent. Ortsübliche Vergleichsmiete. Normally in Germany there is index of the recommended rents in every city. It should be published at least once every 2 years. In this index, there are prices for every house, on every street, in every district of every city, of every size, of every type of the house, with or without balcony, with or without parking lot, with or without cellar. All the specifications of the flat should be mentioned. But the problem in Berlin is that from end of January 2022, this price index of Berlin is illegal. So if the price index is illegal, you should find 3 similar flats to yours and to calculate the mean price of the 3 flats and to prove to your tenant that the new rent is raised according to similar flats in this area. So you need legal information about 3 other flats similar to yours. It's quite complicated. Now you are entitled to raise the rent once a year, but it's forbidden to make 2 raises in the same year. So, for example, if you modernize flat, you cannot update the rent according to the inflation and to the modernization costs. So choose one of them. About the Modernisierung, you should collect all the bills of all the expenses you spent for the modernization and prove to the tenant the amount you really paid for modernizing his or her flat. But there are some limitations. You are allowed to raise the rent based on the modernization costs, maximum by 8% annually of the total modernization costs. Okay, so for example, you spent 100,000 euros for modernizing the flat, you are allowed to raise the rent to the tenant by maximum of 8,000 a year. Okay? Now, there are other limitations of the rents in Germany. For example, the new raised rent is allowed to be maximum 10% above the recommended rents for your specific area. So, maximum 10% above. Take care of that. More than that, in Germany there is a law that obliges you to limit the raise by 20% at any given time. For example, you own a flat where the rent has not been raised during 40 years or 30 years. You are allowed to raise the rent by maximum 20% in one time. In Germany, not in Berlin. In Berlin, you're allowed to raise the rent by maximum of 15% in one time. That's it for today. Ask your questions, give us your likes, share this news, subscribe to our channel. Thank you very much. Bye.